You want her to miss you. Stop trying to make her miss you. I know that sounds backwards, but here's the truth. The moment you try to make someone miss you, you've already lost, because trying reeks of desperation. And desperation is repulsive. But what if I told you there's a way to make her think about you constantly, to make her wonder where you are, to make her reach out to you first, even if right now she barely knows you exist, even if she's told you she's not interested, even if she's with someone else? What I'm about to reveal isn't manipulation, it's psychology. It's understanding how female attraction actually works instead of how you wish it worked. And by the end of this video, you'll know the exact framework that makes women obsess over men they initially rejected. The exact system that turns, "I'm not interested" into, "Why haven't you texted me back?" But I need you to understand something critical right now. This only works if you're willing to do the one thing most men are too weak to do. And I'll reveal what that is in exactly 3 minutes. So lock in, because this is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about getting her attention. Welcome to the Mind Forge, where we don't teach motivation. We teach the brutal reality of male psychology, masculinity, and the laws of power. In a world that wants men to be weak, we provide the tools for strength. This channel dives deep into the high-value traits that define a leader, from the power of silence and stoic discipline to understanding the hidden truths of female nature and attraction. If you're tired of being ignored, if you're done being the guy she keeps as a backup option, if you're ready to flip the script and make her chase you instead, then hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Because what I'm about to teach you will separate you from every other man desperately competing for her attention. The weak will call this manipulative. The strong will call this strategic. Now let's make her miss you so badly she can't think straight. Let me start by destroying the biggest lie you've been told. You cannot make someone miss you by being more available, more attentive, or more present in their life. That's backwards. That's the exact opposite of how human psychology works. You make someone miss you by creating absence, by removing access, by becoming scarce. And this is where most men completely sabotage themselves. When she shows disinterest, when she pulls back, when she goes cold, what does the average man do? He doubles down, he texts more, he tries harder. He makes himself even more available, thinking that if he just shows her enough attention, enough interest, enough effort, she'll suddenly realize his value and come around. And every single time, it pushes her further away, because he's operating from scarcity. He's demonstrating that he has no options, no abundance, no value in the sexual marketplace. And women are biologically repelled by that energy. Here's what actually makes a woman miss you: unpredictability, scarcity, and the anxiety of loss. When she can't predict your behavior, when your attention isn't guaranteed, when there's a real possibility she might lose access to you, that's when her brain starts obsessing. That's when you occupy mental real estate. That's when she starts checking her phone, wondering why you haven't reached out. But this requires you to do something that feels completely counterintuitive. You have to become genuinely okay with losing her. Not pretend okay, not fake indifference while you're secretly hoping she comes back. Genuinely okay, because if you're attached to the outcome, if you need her to miss you, if your emotional state depends on her response, she'll feel that, and it will sabotage everything. This is the part most men can't handle. They can't truly detach. They can't genuinely walk away. They implement these strategies while still being emotionally dependent on the result, and that neediness leaks through in subtle ways. The way they respond too quickly when she finally texts, the way their energy shifts when she shows interest, the way they're a little too eager when she reaches out, and all that progress gets destroyed instantly. So before we get into the tactics, you need to fix your internal state. You need to actually build a life that's so fulfilling, so purpose-driven, so abundant that whether she misses you or not becomes irrelevant. That's the foundation. Without that, everything else is just manipulation that will eventually backfire. Now, assuming you've got that foundation, assuming you're coming from a place of genuine outcome independence, let's talk about the specific mechanisms that make a woman miss you, even if she's currently not interested. First mechanism, strategic withdrawal. This is not ghosting. This is not playing games. This is simply removing your attention and presence from her life after she's experienced it. See, she can't miss what she never had. If you've never been in her life in any meaningful way, your absence doesn't register. But if you've been present, if you've given her attention, conversation, time, energy, and then you remove all of that suddenly and completely, her brain notices. Her pattern recognition kicks in. Something that was there is now gone, and humans are wired to focus on loss more than gain. This is loss aversion psychology. She might not have valued your attention when she had it. She might have taken it for granted, ignored your texts, been lukewarm in her responses. But the moment it's gone, the moment you're not pursuing anymore, the moment you're not available, suddenly that attention has value. Suddenly she's wondering where it went. Suddenly she's curious about why you stopped. But here's the critical part. The withdrawal has to be complete. You can't half withdraw. You can't go from texting every day to texting every few days and expect that to work. That's just reducing frequency and she'll barely notice. The withdrawal needs to be total and abrupt. You go from present to completely absent, from responsive to radio silent, from available to unavailable. The contrast needs to be stark enough that she can't help but notice. And when she does notice, when she reaches out asking why you've been distant, here's what you absolutely cannot do. You cannot explain yourself. You cannot apologize. You cannot say I was giving you space or I thought you weren't interested. Because all of those responses communicate that your withdrawal was about her, that you were reacting to her lack of interest, that you pulled back because you were hurt or rejected. Instead, your energy needs to communicate that you got busy with your life. You had things that demanded your attention. You've been focused on your purpose, your goals, your mission. She simply wasn't a priority because you have more important things going on. That's the frame. That's the message that makes her hamster wheel start spinning. Now, what I'm about to reveal next is the psychological trigger that makes her think about you even when she's with someone else. This is the mechanism that explains why women always remember that one guy who got away, why they reach out years later, why they can't stop thinking about men who didn't chase them. This is powerful. Stay locked in. Second mechanism, becoming the uncertainty in her life. Women are attracted to what they can't quite figure out, to the man who doesn't fit into a neat category, to the guy whose behavior they can't predict. And uncertainty creates obsessive thinking. Let me explain why. When she can predict you, when she knows exactly how you'll respond, exactly what you'll do, exactly how you feel about her, there's no mystery. There's nothing to figure out. Her brain doesn't need to invest mental energy trying to understand you because you're already completely understood. You're solved, and solved problems are boring. But when you're unpredictable, when she can't quite figure out what you're thinking, when your behavior doesn't match her expectations, her brain goes into overdrive trying to make sense of you. And all that mental energy, all that trying to figure you out, all that wondering and questioning, that translates directly into attraction. Because she's investing, she's thinking about you, you're occupying her mind. This is why the nice guy who's always consistent, always available, always predictable, he's boring. He's solved. There's no mystery to uncover. But the guy who's sometimes attentive and sometimes distant, who's sometimes warm and sometimes cold, who's sometimes available and sometimes completely MIA, he's interesting. He's a puzzle, and women are obsessively drawn to puzzles they haven't solved yet. Now, before you misunderstand this, I'm not telling you to be hot and cold in a manipulative, toxic way. I'm not telling you to play mind games or intentionally mess with her emotions. What I'm telling you is to be genuinely variable in your availability and attention because you have a full life. Sometimes you're available because you have time. Sometimes you're not because you're busy. Sometimes you're attentive because she's earned it. Sometimes you're not because she hasn't. That natural variation, driven by your actual life and standards, creates the unpredictability that makes her think about you. But most men do the opposite. They're consistently available. They always respond quickly. They always prioritize her over everything else. They make themselves completely predictable. And then they wonder why she's not interested, why she doesn't miss them, why she takes them for granted. Here's a brutal truth. She won't miss your presence if your presence is guaranteed. She won't crave your attention if your attention is always available. She won't think about you if thinking about you isn't necessary because you're always right there. Scarcity creates value. Abundance destroys it. So you need to be scarce. Not artificially scarce where you're sitting around pretending to be busy. Actually scarce because you actually have better things to do. Because your life is actually full. Because you're actually building something that matters more than her validation. Third mechanism, strategic silence. This is different from withdrawal. Withdrawal is removing your presence entirely. Strategic silence is being present but saying less. Being available but not filling every silence. Being there but maintaining mystery through what you don't say rather than what you do say. Most men talk too much. They over-explain. They try to fill every pause in the conversation. They reveal everything they're thinking and feeling because they think transparency builds connection. And it does build connection, but it kills attraction. Because attraction requires mystery. It requires her wondering what you're thinking. It requires space for her imagination to fill in the gaps. When you practice strategic silence, when you answer questions but don't volunteer information, when you're present but not overly expressive, when you let conversations breathe instead of rushing to fill the space, you create gaps. And her mind will obsessively try to fill those gaps. She'll wonder what you're thinking about. She'll try to read your expressions. She'll analyze your responses looking for clues about what's going on in your head. And all of that mental activity, all of that trying to figure you out, all of that investment, it makes you memorable. It makes her think about you when you're not around. It makes her miss you because when you're not there, she doesn't have access to the puzzle she's trying to solve. This is why the quiet, mysterious man is so attractive to women, not because there's anything magical about silence itself, but because silence creates space for her imagination. Silence makes him unpredictable. Silence maintains mystery. and mystery is magnetic. If this is already changing how you think about attraction, smash that like button right now. Because what I'm about to reveal next is the strategy that makes her reach out to you first, even after she's ghosted you, even after she said she wasn't interested. This is the reversal technique. Keep watching. Fourth mechanism, demonstrating higher value through social proof. She can't miss you if she thinks you have no other options. If she believes that you're sitting around waiting for her, that she's your only prospect, that you have nothing better to do, there's nothing to miss. Why would she miss someone who's always available because no one else wants him? But if she sees or senses that other women want you, that your time is valuable because it's in demand, that you have options and you're choosing to spend your time elsewhere, suddenly your absence means something. Suddenly there's competition. Suddenly there's scarcity. Suddenly she might lose access to you permanently, not because you're playing games, but because someone else might lock you down. This is pre-selection, this is social proof, and it's one of the most powerful attraction triggers that exists. Women want men that other women want. It's not shallow. It's efficient mate selection. If other high-quality women have vetted you and found you valuable, that saves her the risk of choosing wrong. So how do you demonstrate this without being obvious or try hard about it? You live your life publicly. You maintain female friendships. You're social. You're seen with other women in your social media if you use it. Not in a way that's trying to make her jealous, but in a way that naturally shows you have a full social life that includes women who value your company. And when she does reach out, when she texts you or tries to get your attention, your response time and availability communicate your options. If you always respond immediately, if you always clear your schedule for her, if you always prioritize her over everything else, you're communicating that you have no options, that she's the only woman willing to give you attention. But if sometimes you take hours to respond because you were actually busy with other people, if sometimes you can't meet up because you already have plans, if sometimes you're unavailable because you're investing time in other relationships and opportunities, you're demonstrating value. You're showing that your time is competed for, and that makes her want to compete. Now the key here is authenticity. You can't fake this. If you're sitting at home alone intentionally waiting 3 hours to respond to her text so you seem busy, she'll eventually sense the inauthenticity. The energy will be off. You need to actually be busy. You actually need to have options. You actually need to have other women in your life, even if just as friends, because that genuine abundance creates an energy that can't be faked. Fifth mechanism, creating memorable positive experiences, then removing yourself. This is critical. Most men try to make women miss them without ever giving them something worth missing. They were always just kind of there, kind of boring, kind of forgettable, and then they disappear and wonder why she doesn't care. You can't make her miss something she never valued in the first place. So before you withdraw, before you become scarce, you need to create experiences that make you memorable. You need to give her moments that stand out, conversations that meant something, experiences that were unique, emotions that were intense. This doesn't mean love bombing. This doesn't mean overwhelming her with attention and gifts and grand gestures. This means creating genuine connection and genuine experiences when you are together, being fully present, creating emotional intensity through deep conversation, through shared experiences, through moments that matter. And then once you've created that value, once you've given her something actually worth missing, that's when you withdraw. That's when you become scarce, because now your absence creates a void. Now she's comparing every other interaction to the ones she had with you. Now she's noticing that other guys aren't making her feel the way you did. This is why women pine for ex-boyfriends even when the relationship was toxic, because those relationships created emotional intensity. They created memorable experiences. They created feelings. And when those feelings are gone, when that intensity is missing, she misses it. She misses how he made her feel, even if how he made her feel was sometimes terrible. You want to be memorable, create intensity, create depth, create experiences that matter, and then remove yourself so she can feel the absence of those experiences. Sixth mechanism, living a life worth missing. This is the most important one, and it's the one most men completely ignore because it requires actual work rather than tricks or tactics. If your life is boring, if you're not doing anything interesting, if you have no purpose or passion or direction, why would anyone miss you? What are they missing? Netflix and small talk, complaining about your job, mediocrity. But if you're building something, if you're passionate about your mission, if you're living a life that's genuinely interesting and full of purpose, that's worth missing. That's something she'll wish she was part of. That's the life she'll regret not being included in. This is why men with purpose are attractive. Not because purpose itself is sexy, but because purpose creates an interesting life. It creates stories. It creates energy. It creates a gravitational pull. And when you're living that kind of life, when you're genuinely excited about what you're building, people want to be part of that. They want access to that energy. And when you remove that access, when they can't be part of that anymore, they miss it. They miss the version of themselves they were when they were around you. They miss the excitement and the energy and the feeling of being part of something bigger. So if you want her to miss you, become someone worth missing. Build a life so compelling that being excluded from it feels like a loss. Pursue goals so ambitious that she'll wonder what you're achieving while she's not around. Create a world so interesting that she'll regret not being part of it. Now here's where most men completely mess this up and destroy all their progress. They do everything right, she starts reaching out, she starts showing interest, and then they make the fatal mistake that kills everything. I'm going to show you exactly what that mistake is and how to avoid it. This is crucial. The fatal mistake, reverting to old behavior the moment she shows interest. This destroys men constantly. They implement everything I've taught. They withdraw, they become scarce, they build their life, they maintain mystery. And it works. She starts reaching out. She starts initiating. She starts showing the interest that wasn't there before. And the moment she does, the moment she gives him a little attention, he abandons everything that made her interested in the first place. He becomes available again. He starts texting back immediately. He clears his schedule for her. He becomes the eager, pursuing, overly available version of himself that she wasn't interested in before. And her attraction dies instantly, because he just proved that his scarcity was fake. He just demonstrated that the moment she gave him validation, he dropped everything. He just showed that he has no options and was just waiting for her to come back. All that mystery, all that unpredictability, all that high-value behavior exposed as a temporary act. You have to maintain your frame even when she comes back, especially when she comes back, because her coming back is just the beginning of the test, not the end. She's testing whether you're actually high value or whether you were just playing games. She's testing whether your life is actually full or whether you were just pretending to be busy. She's testing whether you have options or whether you were just waiting for her. And if you fail that test, if you immediately become available and eager and accommodating, you've failed. She'll lose interest again. And this time, she won't come back because you've proven you're not what you presented yourself to be. So when she reaches out, you maintain your pace. You don't drop everything. You respond when it's convenient for you, not immediately. You make plans on your schedule, not hers. You continue prioritizing your mission, your goals, your life. She becomes part of your world on your terms, not the center of your world on her terms. This is maintaining frame. This is staying congruent with the high-value behavior that attracted her in the first place. And it's hard, because when she finally shows interest, your instinct is to grab onto it. Your instinct is to give her everything she wants so she doesn't lose interest again. But that instinct will destroy you. You have to stay disciplined. You have to remember that she's interested now because of your behavior. And if you change your behavior, you'll change her interest. It's that simple. Now let's talk about what to do when she tries to pull you back into her frame, because she will. Women are smart, they test. And one of the most common tests is trying to get you to be more available, more attentive, more pursuing. She'll complain that you're distant. She'll say she feels like you don't care. She'll try to guilt you into being more present. And weak men fold. They apologize. They explain. They start chasing again to prove they care. And they lose her interest immediately. Strong men hold their ground. They don't apologize for having a life. They don't explain themselves. They calmly maintain that they have priorities and she's one of them, but not the only one. And they're comfortable with her being uncomfortable with that. This is the boundary that separates high-value men from everyone else. High-value men are willing to let her be upset. They're willing to let her complain. They're willing to risk her leaving because they're not going to compromise their standards or their life to keep her comfortable. And paradoxically, that's what keeps her interested. That's what makes her respect you. That's what makes her pursue harder. Because you've demonstrated that you're not like other men. You're not desperate. You're not moldable. You're not going to change yourself to fit what she wants. You are who you are, and she can either fit into your life or she can't. That frame, that unwavering certainty in your own value, that's what makes women obsess. That's what makes them miss you when you're gone. That's what makes them fight to keep you. Drop a comment right now. Have you ever had a woman come back after you stopped chasing? What happened? Did you maintain frame or did you fall back into old patterns? Let's hear your story. And if you're going through this right now, tell me where you're at. I read every comment. Now let's address the elephant in the room. What if she never reaches out? What if you do everything I've taught? You withdraw, you become scarce, you build your life, you maintain mystery, and she just doesn't care? What if she never texts, never reaches out, never shows any sign of missing you? Here's the harsh truth, that's a real possibility, and you need to be okay with it. Because if you're not okay with it, if you're attached to her responding, if you need her to miss you, you're not actually implementing this from a position of strength. You're implementing it from a position of manipulation, and that energy will sabotage you. The reality is, not every woman is going to miss you. Some women genuinely weren't interested and never will be. Some women are so focused on other things that your absence doesn't register. Some women have so many options that you not being there doesn't create any sense of loss. And that's fine, that's actually perfect, because those women were never right for you anyway. A woman who doesn't miss you when you're gone, who doesn't value your presence, who doesn't appreciate what you bring, why would you want her? This is the abundance mindset. This is outcome independence. You implement these strategies not to manipulate a specific woman into wanting you. You implement them because this is how high-value men naturally operate. You're scarce because your time is actually valuable. You're mysterious because you don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You're focused on your mission because you actually have a mission that matters. And when you operate like this consistently, some women will respond. Some women will reach out. Some women will start pursuing, but not all of them. And the ones who don't, they're eliminating themselves from your life, saving you time and energy you would have wasted trying to convince them of your value. Let them go. Focus on the women who do respond. Focus on the women who do recognize your value. Focus on the women who do appreciate your presence enough to miss it when it's gone. This is the filter. This is how you separate the women who are actually interested from the women who are just enjoying the attention. The women who miss you when you're gone are the ones worth your time. The women who don't aren't. Now let's talk about timing, because one question I get constantly is, how long do I stay gone? How long do I maintain the distance before reaching back out? And the answer is, you don't reach back out. That's not how this works. You don't withdraw for a calculated period of time and then come back like you're implementing some kind of formula. That's manipulation, that's game playing, and it will backfire because your energy will be wrong. You withdraw because you're genuinely focused on other things. You stay withdrawn because you're genuinely busy building your life, and you only re-engage if she reaches out and demonstrates that she values your presence. Your attention isn't a tactic you turn on and off strategically. Your attention is a resource you invest in people who appreciate it. If she doesn't reach out, if she doesn't initiate, if she doesn't show any sign that she misses you, you move on. You focus on other opportunities, other women, other areas of your life. You don't sit around waiting to see if your strategy worked. Because if you're sitting around waiting, the strategy isn't working. You're still operating from scarcity. True abundance means you're so focused on building your empire that whether one particular woman misses you becomes irrelevant. You're creating value, you're pursuing goals, you're living your mission. And women who align with that, who appreciate that, who want to be part of that, they'll make themselves known. They'll reach out, they'll pursue. They'll demonstrate that they don't want to miss out on what you're building. And the ones who don't, they were never your people anyway. This is the hardest part for most men to accept. They want a guarantee. They want to know that if they do X, Y, and Z, she will definitely respond. They want certainty. They want control. But you can't control another person's feelings or behavior. All you can control is yourself, your standards, your life, your energy. So you focus on becoming the kind of man women don't want to lose. You focus on building a life so compelling that being excluded from it feels like a genuine loss. You focus on developing yourself into someone so high value that your absence is noticed and felt. And then you let the chips fall where they may. Some women will chase, some won't. And you remain unbothered either way because your value isn't determined by any individual woman's response to you. Now I'm going to give you the exact framework, the step-by-step process for making her miss you starting today. This is the action plan. This is what you do right now if you want results. But first, you need to understand the one mindset shift that makes all of this work. That's next. The mindset shift, you are the prize, not her. Everything I've taught you in this video fails if you don't genuinely believe this. If you still think she's the prize, if you're still operating from a place of feeling lucky that she might give you attention, if you're still putting her on a pedestal, none of this works. Because that energy leaks through everything you do. When you're the prize, you don't chase. Prizes don't chase, they're pursued. When you're the prize, you don't beg for attention. Prizes don't beg, they're valued. When you're the prize, you don't explain yourself or apologize for your standards. Prizes set the terms and people either meet them or they don't. This isn't arrogance, this isn't ego, this is self-respect. This is knowing your value and refusing to compromise it for anyone. This is understanding that you bring something valuable to any woman's life, and if she doesn't see that, it's her loss, not yours. But most men have this completely backwards. They think women are the prize because women are the selectors in dating. Women choose who they sleep with, who they date, who they commit to. And that selection power makes men feel like they need to earn women's approval, like they need to prove themselves worthy. And that's exactly the frame that kills attraction. Because when you're trying to prove your worth to her, you're communicating that you're beneath her. You're communicating that she's the judge and you're the one being evaluated. You're putting her in a position of power and yourself in a position of weakness. And women are not attracted to men in positions of weakness. They're attracted to men in positions of strength. They want to prove themselves to you, not the other way around. So you need to flip this frame completely. You need to be evaluating her. You need to be deciding if she meets your standards. You need to be determining if she's worthy of your time, your attention, your investment. And when you genuinely operate from this frame, when you genuinely believe that you're the prize and she needs to prove herself to you, everything changes. Your energy changes, your behavior changes, the dynamic changes, and she feels it. She feels that you're not like other men. She feels that you're evaluating her instead of trying to impress her. She feels that you're the selector, not her. And that frame flip is what creates attraction. That's what makes her want to win you over. That's what makes her miss you when you're not around, because she's not sure if she's done enough to secure your interest. Now here's the practical framework. Here's exactly what you do starting today. Step 1, complete withdrawal for minimum 2 weeks. No texts, no calls, no social media interaction, no accidentally running into her, complete radio silence. You go dark, and during this time you're not sitting around thinking about her. You're genuinely investing in your life. You're hitting the gym harder. You're working on your goals. You're being social with other people. You're improving yourself. This isn't a tactic. This is genuine self-investment. Step 2, during this withdrawal period, post on social media if you use it, but not about her, not sad posts, not quotes about missing someone. You post about your life, your progress, your experiences, other people in your life. You're demonstrating that you're thriving, not mopping. You're showing that your life is full and interesting without her. This creates FOMO. This makes her see what she's missing out on. Step 3, if she reaches out during this period, and many women will, you don't respond immediately. You wait minimum several hours, preferably a day, and when you do respond, you're friendly but brief. You don't explain where you've been. You don't apologize for being distant. You act like this is just your normal pace, like you've been busy and this is just how you operate. You're not cold, but you're not overly warm either. You're neutral and unbothered. Step 4, you don't initiate meeting up. If she wants to see you, she needs to suggest it. And even when she does, you don't immediately say yes. You check your schedule. You see if you can fit her in. You make plans on your terms at your convenience. You're not playing hard to get. You're genuinely busy, and she's working to get time with you. Step 5, when you do see her, you're present and engaging, but you don't overshare. You maintain some mystery. You answer her questions, but you don't volunteer everything. You let her wonder about aspects of your life. You're the same interesting, engaging person you were before, but you're not an open book. There are layers she hasn't accessed yet. Step 6, after seeing her, you don't immediately text her. You don't do the "I had a great time" message. You wait. You let her reach out first. You let her text you telling you she had fun. And when she does, you respond positively but briefly. You don't launch into a long conversation. You keep it short and then get back to your life. Step 7, you maintain this pattern. You're available but not always. You're responsive but not immediately. You're interested but not needy. You're consistent in your inconsistency. She never quite knows when she'll hear from you, when she'll see you, how available you'll be, and that uncertainty keeps her thinking about you. This is the framework. This is the system. But remember, it only works if you're genuinely coming from a place of abundance and outcome independence. If you're doing this as a tactic while secretly obsessing over whether it's working, she'll feel the incongruence and it will fail. You have to actually be living a life you love. You have to actually be pursuing goals that matter to you. You have to actually be okay with her not responding, because that genuine energy is what makes the framework effective. If you've made it this far, you're serious about transformation. You're not like the weak men who want a magic trick or a shortcut. You understand that this is about becoming a fundamentally different kind of man. So do yourself a favor right now. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications, because everything I teach here is designed to forge you into the man women chase, not the man who chases. The content coming next week will show you exactly what to do when she does reach out and how to handle it without falling back into old patterns. Don't miss it. Subscribe now. Here's what you need to understand. Making her miss you isn't about her. It's about you. It's about becoming the kind of man whose absence is felt. The kind of man who creates value through his presence. The kind of man who's so focused on his mission that being excluded from his life is a genuine loss. Stop trying to make her miss you and start becoming someone worth missing. Stop playing games and start living a life so compelling that anyone would regret not being part of it. Stop focusing on tactics and start focusing on transformation. Because here's the truth, when you become that man, you won't care if she misses you or not. You'll be too busy building your empire. You'll have too many options. You'll be too focused on your purpose. And ironically, that's exactly when women will start missing you. That's when they'll start chasing. That's when they'll start fighting for your attention. Now click on the next video on your screen. Because what I'm going to show you there is what to do when she does come back, how to handle it, how to maintain frame, how to ensure you don't fumble at the finish line. You need to watch that right now because the framework isn't complete without it. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Join the men who are done being nice guys. Join the men who are forging themselves into kings. This is the Mind Forge, where we don't teach you how to chase women. We teach you how to become the man women chase. I'll see you in the next video. Now go become the man you are fit to be.